Good morning, everybody. Welcome to EXSIN Live. Phil, today we're going to talk about dirt work and salesmen.
It works. I like it. We're getting rain right now.
And we're getting rain. And dirt work is something, we think if we don't work in the trades, we don't have to do.
Well, I think when you think about it, I grew up in a place, I think the coolest place in the world, Greenwood County, Kansas.
It's pretty. It's got some nice rocks there, some nice creeks and streams and stuff.
But Greenwood County, Kansas, a lot of guys, agricultural guys, and my dad, I grew up with a guy, hardworking man that always talked about you gotta work the soil if you want to have something good come out the other end. And that was his analogy for everything. Work the soil, you can plant the seeds, and then you can reap a harvest. It's also biblical.
Well, it actually, your dad was a wise, faithful man.
Yes.
The funny part about that statement is that no matter what industry you're in, especially if we're in sales, we forget that. We feel like we should be given the sandwich from the picnic basket, like Yogi Bear, and we should get to eat.
Who made this? Hi, Matt. Good morning, brother.
Hey, Matt. So the thing we want to talk about today as a sales professional, and more importantly, as a sales team leader or as a business owner, what are you doing that's hurting your sales team? And is your sales team doing the dirt work up front to make sure they do the business development activities down the line to reap what they sow?
Yeah, and if you're a business owner that is in charge or responsible for sales, if you're a smaller business for your company, that applies to you as well. I think, today's talking about the picnic and the sandwich, people that provide leads to their employees, there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good thing to do if your budget allows it. And, depending on what there's just variables, be a very good thing. What you can't do is you can't make your sales team dependent on everything that you generate for them, because now you don't really have a sales team that's out promoting your products. You have order takers, which they can be some of the highest paid people in your organization. And that's wonderful. But we're talking about people developing, creating opportunity for themselves and for your company.
And let's be honest about this. Generation online is good. It's not great.
Yeah.
The conversion rate on leads from digital marketing is not as high as you would like it to be. Less than 10% in a lot of cases.
You also don't know what you're getting. It's one thing to get a lead, but is it a good lead? Is it a quality lead?
And that impacts the conversion rate. Yep. Whereas if your sales team working the soil, planting the seeds, developing the relationship, you're going to have a much conversion rate by having a team that's dedicated to helping you build the business.
What we're talking about, obviously, is self-generated leads for your store. Are they out doing the work to generate opportunity for themselves and for the companies they represent? It's extremely important to understand and have a plan, the day-to-day execution strategy on what they need to do to go out and make those things happen.
Yeah, one of the things I would offer to you too, you're spending this money on digital marketing and it's great, it's helping, but is that money better spent on developing relationships with people?
Yeah.
Doing things for potential customers, helping out and growing your family of people that are advocates for your company that help you. I mean, we talked about it a couple of episodes ago, the cultivation loop. The key is to become champion organization. Yep. And you can't do that in the digital spaces quickly.
Yeah, you can. I mean, and digital space can be a good supplement, I believe, for what you're doing. But again, we have clients that are tens of thousands of dollars, digital companies to create leads. And when you look at conversion rates, sometimes you wonder, is it worth it?
Well, and they don't know the return on the investment, right?
Well,
they lay out an outlay of cash and they get a bunch of leads, but they don't know what they're generating. If you are doing that strategy, awesome. I'm going to tell you this. You need to understand how, if I spend $1, what is that going to equate to?
Yep.
Right? You have to do the math. And if it's agency will tell you they can't do that, well, then they're bad at math. It's not hard.
Well, and there's a lot of these companies. I'm going to get on this industry for a second, Dave.
We should.
So good. We've interviewed tons of them. We've met with tons of them. We know this space. You can never get them. It's elusive, right? It's to get them to show actual results, because think about it, what they're doing, as long as they create something well, then in their minds, they've done their job. And in a way they're right, but it's got to be quality. Somebody with a breathing pulse is not necessarily a good candidate for your.
In fact, and you're paying money for a service to generate leads, to drive income, to keep your company running smoothly. Right. Let's go back to the dirt work. The best way to do that is to train a team of warrior dogs for your team that work as hard as they can to build relationships, to connect people to money that become champions and referral partners for your organization.
Yeah, networking, it's an old term. I'm sure there's a more modern term for networking than it's networking to me. Being involved in those opportunities where you can tell the company, where you can have conversations about how your product, your service provides a solution for people. You've got to have that team of professionals that understand the company story, believe in the company story, and go at that strategy on a daily basis. Those are the folks that really make companies grow.
And the big thing about your business, got to be spiders, not leopards.
Yep.
Right? I shared that yesterday with one of our clients. And the reality of it is a lot of young salespeople are leopards. They find their client, hook onto them, you get the sell, and they get fat and full, and they take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, you got to cast a web. You be a spider. Cast a web of tons of people out there that are helping you that can bring stuff in consistently. Because when you look at your sales funnel, the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, the bottom of the funnel, if you stop feeding the top of the funnel, the pump guys, reprime, it can take up to 90 days to 180 days, depending on the industry you're in, to get that pump reprimed and start going again. So you can never stop those activities that are bringing in new clients.
And that's just to get it going again. You're not going to really reap benefit from it for probably another 60 days after that. I mean, any consistent results. So, it's a combination of things. When you're talking about business development, sales, it's a combination of activities, but the foundational work is done by people that work in the soil, the seeds, and the harvest. And they're doing that every day of their lives. I mean, it's not something you can take days off on.
Phil is our expert sales guy, and he says something all the time to our clients in his tree. He goes, I never eat alone.
Yep.
If you're a sales representative or you're a business owner, I would your sales team to have breakfast and lunch with a new person every day and develop relationships. There's no better way to do that groundwork than over a meal for sales professionals to grow their business, because you're going to have a different connection at that point. So take those opportunities to build that web and cast that net. Tell people you're doing and leverage their network.
Yeah, we were talking to a client of ours, one of their young sales reps the other day. Well, yesterday, as a matter of fact, it was. And very sharp young man, got a bright future. I hopped on his Facebook page. Him and I became friends, and I were mutual friends. And I asked him about an individual that were mutual friends of ours. I said, how do you know these people? He says, our families have been friends my whole life, and we're very close. And you can tell they have a very, very close relationship. This gentleman we were talking about is probably one of the most influential guys in this young man's market.
Well, the market in general, not just his, everywhere.
But he could go out, because think about it. When 2 nights ago, I get a text from a young man that grew up with one of my kids, said, hey, Mr. Nichols, I need some help here. Told me a situation, what he's trying to do. I put it out into my sphere of influence just yesterday. He's already got opportunities presented to him, because we know a lot of people. Old guys know a lot of people. Go to the people that are your champions, that are your support, that want to see you do well. Tell them what you're trying to get done. There is a long line of people that want to help you. That is just a fact. If you're, and it doesn't matter if you're young, if you're 45 and starting a new career, if you're 55 and starting a career, there are people out there that want to help you do well. So let them know your story, that planting seeds at the ground, know what you're doing, then they can help you get the word out to other folk.
Yeah, don't be afraid to have a conversation with people that to grow your network and to leverage people's network. This is about building a web and casting a large web in whatever area you're in to help you out. I mean, one of the best salesmen for another company we work with, that guy is probably the best networker.
Yeah, I know you're talking about
that we know. He's goofy as all get out, and we love him. But man, that guy can network, and he does events with people all the time. He's always take care of them. And guess what? His sales is full. And even when he has a bad week and he's not doing the work,
it's better than everybody else's.
It's better than everybody else's. And we have to go along and encourage him to go leverage that network and work it again. But when he does, it's crazy what happens.
Well, I think part of the challenge for salespeople, okay, and there's all kinds of names for them, right? Banks call them loan officers.
Yeah.
Well, they may do that, but they're also out there. Their charge is to go find customers, right? Insurance agents, real estate agents, companies, wholesale distribution companies, oil field companies. I mean, we've worked with them all. And I'm telling you right now, sales is the one common denominator for all the successful companies. And this is what I think salespeople have to guard against. I think there's one thing that keeps people from reaching their full potential is that they're embarrassed to ask for help. They're embarrassed to go out and say, they want everybody to think they've arrived, need help, they're killing it. They're all these things. Get out of your own darn, quit letting your foolish pride prevent you from having the kind of career you could have. Go out and tell people what you're doing and how they can help. They will help. Oh boy, old man eyes.
Gonna be a new
Never eat alone is going to be our new sales
metric. Pure gold. There you go.
Well, I think the reason, just briefly, I think it speaks for itself, but Jake Jackson, my first mentor, you've heard me talk about Jake. You've never met Jake, but I think you probably feel like you know him.
I feel like I do.
But Jake taught me that almost 30 years ago. He said, don't ever eat alone. If you're out having lunch or out having breakfast by yourself, you're doing it wrong. You should always be taking somebody with you or seeing if somebody wants to go grab a cup of coffee. But talking about what you're doing and what you're wanting to accomplish. Tell them your story. Tell them why it's important to you. I believe this wholeheartedly. And we all know this to be fundamentally true. Nothing happens in any industry, I don't care what it is, until something's sold.
Yep.
Nothing happens. You can be the greatest at it in the world, whatever it is you do. Our good friend Matt Wilson has a fabulous business in Vena up in Kansas. And Matt's one of the most, and told you this many times, one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He's an engineer. Excuse me. But nothing happens for Invena and Matt until something's sold.
They don't get to do all the fun stuff.
They won't get to know how talented they are, how good they are, so it just doesn't matter. I think we've got to always you got to always understand that sales is, in my opinion, what drives the world economy. I mean, without it, nothing happens.
Well, Matt told his story of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon 1,000 times.
Yep.
I think we all have, and it's true. We are connected to people in ways you will never imagine. And,
yep.
and part of that is leveraging this. Now, I got to share a story on Phil. Phil's story about his sales mentor is the day they went down some road knocking on doors. And the whole point of the mentor doing that to the mentee was to show him, did you get told no? Because was it that big a deal? Nope.
Yeah, I was struggling, and he said, "What are you doing Saturday?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I guess whatever you tell me." Showed up in Wichita, Kansas, many moons ago. He put me in a car, took me to a neighborhood, parked the car, and said, "You take that side of the block, I'll take this side of the block." I said, "To do what?" He said, "You're going to knock on doors and tell people what you do." And no, I'm not. He said, "Yeah, you are." And so I did. And he did it on this side, and I did on that side. We sat in the car. One of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done completely out of my comfort zone. But what it did is it taught me a lot of lessons. And I think, you got to understand, first of all, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to end up right where you were before you started. The best thing that could happen is the middle part of what you're going to create some new friends. The best thing is to make some money. You're going to sell something.
I'm going to use an old Karate Kid analogy.
Oh boy.
Wax on, wax off. You go out. Get your team to do the work up front, the stuff that makes no sense. It's hard.
It's not fun.
Don't see any benefit, but you're waxing on, waxing off. Yep. And eventually, when you do that, you seeds, they start to grow and you can harvest. But if you don't do the fundamental basics of the hard work up front, you cannot get to where you want to be ever. I don't care what you do. If you're going to be a great football player, basketball player, musician, if you don't do the basic stuff and the dirt work initially, you're never going to get there.
One other thing I'd tell salespeople is don't listen to the old guys in the room with regards to what I'm about to tell you. When I went to work for another company where I started my own stuff, they had territories, Dave, 9 territories. So I go out and I'm just killing it. I'm writing all this business, closing all these deals. One day the old guys set me down and they're laughing at me. I go, "What?" "We didn't have the heart to tell you the last 7 guys failed in this territory because it's a terrible territory." I didn't know it was a terrible territory. I just went out and sold, right? So, make up your own mind what kind of career you're going to have. Make up your own mind what kind of life you're going to have. Don't let other people dictate that for you. I mean, I've had failures out the wazoo, and I've had successes along the way. But the reality is you've got to continue to be in the fight. If you're not in the fight, you're done. You got to be in the fight. And these things we're talking about is the fighting. It's fun stuff.
I mean, 1,000 times light bulb.
Yep.
1,000 different times.
Yep.
What we'll leave you with today is this. You got to do the hard work to reap the benefit. It's nothing's easy in life. If they're telling you it is, they're lying to you. Be prepared to put the effort in if you want to be hugely successful.
100%. I mean, if you work hard, that fixes a lot of problems. We tell people all the time, sales fixes most problems in businesses.
That's a fact.
If you're out making sales, that fixes most problems, and it's hard work, but it's worthwhile work. And again, if anything you have, any questions you have, make sure you give us a holler. Oh, what do we got going on here? I'm blind.
Do you think you can or you can't? You're great,
You're correct,
Brian.
yeah.
Or is that Byron? Byron, nice quote from Mr. Ford. Byron, glad to see you today. Thanks for showing up. If you have any questions, reach out to us.
Yeah.
But your attitude defines your perspective, defines your future. If you believe you can, you will, and if you believe you can't, you will. Byron is 100% right on that.
Dave and I talk all the time. I always tell people, said some days you're going to be a duck, some days you're going to be an eagle more than you're a duck.
That's a
fact. You'll win.
That's a fact.
I think you got to understand there's going to be rough days. There's going to be great days. We don't know when they're going to come, what they be, but that's part of the excitement, part of the thrill of being out there in business development. So get your stuff together, start about it, have a plan, execute your plan, and do that every day. You'll have great success.
And with that, EXSIN Live, we are out of here.